Hey, this is an update on a new version of Big Blue that I'm working on. Although at this point, it's really kind of a separate front end. I've really kind of forked it off, and as I change more things, it's kind of having less and less in common with Big Blue. So tentatively, I'm calling this front end Blue Balls. Oh God, I gotta rock. Okay, so the way this front end works. Good evening. The way this front end works is that you basically can define the background that you want to use for the front end, and you can pick an image. And the image can be an animated GIF, or it can be just, one standalone image. And you can configure a few things. I want to keep it simple though, because basically when we're getting into complex theme customization, attract mode is already doing a good enough job there. So anybody who really wants to get heavy duty into that stuff, I think they're just better off with that. This, I think, is going to more fill the need for, people that don't want to do a bunch of heavy duty customization, but still want to be able to personalize their theme somewhat. So the options here are pretty bare bones. Actually, right now this XML schema is pretty dumb. I'll clean it up. I've just been kind of throwing this together for test purposes, but basically, here's just kind of a little preview of what you'll be able to do here. So if we run this guy, you can see that because I have mouse control here, that's why it's kind of moving all around, but you can see that we have essentially an overlay for the game list, and then you have a background, and for that background, we're using the Tam image from Samurai Shodown 1, and you can see that we set a speed here. So basically, this is cycling through the frames every 25 milliseconds. We can drastically slow this down just to kind of give you an idea of what you can do here. So this is an example of what you can do with the customization. Let's change the game list to be left, and let's really slow it down. Let's make it like 150 milliseconds. And now you can see that the background is kind of playing in much more slowly, and then we have this kind of left aligned game list. Or if you prefer it, we can just center the game list. If you prefer that look. So this is really just kind of like basic stuff. I mean, if you don't want to do any heavy duty customization, if you don't want to like learn how to create a complex theme and all that stuff, that's pretty much the purpose. That's kind of what and I integrated the snapshot preview and the videos with the game list to really kind of have a minimalistic thing going on here, where you don't have to have all these separate elements floating around. It's all kind of unified into a single thing. I think it works pretty well. Personally, I don't know. I mean, I'm not probably going to use this. That's actually kind of why this is going so slowly, because I'm just kind of working on this like 30 minutes, every week or so. It's not going very quickly. But that just kind of gives you an idea. And so this is kind of like a really stripped down Big Blue, where it doesn't have any of the logic to like pause it or anything. Like when you go into the menu, it doesn't have pausing logic or anything like that. It still has like the nice fade out effects and stuff, when you actually run the game. So if you launch the game, it'll kind of like nicely fade out and all that, and launch the game. So that's basically like Big Blue, and it still has all the raw input stuff, from Big Blue there. So like I said, this is mainly just to kind of, fulfill that need for people that want to still customize things, don't want, that specific Big Blue theme, but still, might be, interested in using this front end. And let me just kind of show you, some other things that you could do here. So, okay, so that was one thing. So let's say that we want to do, I don't know, like, I'll comment this guy out. And before this thing is done, I'm probably going to create a GUI for this so that you can just use some kind of graphical user interface to define these things. You don't have to edit an XML file because editing XML files is dumb. I just haven't got around to it yet. So here I changed it to lightning storm. But you'll notice that in this case, this animated GIF is kind of more of a widescreen aspect ratio. So let's change things around and see what we can do here. So I'll change the config here, make this guy, let's just make it 1080p. So that's 1080p, and then see how it looks. Okay, so that's a little better because it's kind of like a widescreen thing. So you notice what's going on here is, okay, so the size of the snapshot image and the video is set to that small size, and you'll notice that we have like 4 game list items above and below it. So what's going to happen here if we fiddle around with the theme? So we can say, okay, I don't want my preview stuff to be that small. Maybe I want it to be like maybe 320 pixels wide. So if I set that, it's automatic. See how it resized everything? It kind of evenly spaced everything out. So now I have 3 items above and below. But you can see how you can basically tweak this, to be the size you want, the resolution of the and all that good stuff. Let me right align this guy again, just so you can kind of see more of the background. And you can see here how we right align this, and it really isn't enough room. So we're probably going to want to make this thing a little bit wider here. Let's make it, I don't know, 400 maybe. Yeah, so it looks a little better. So basically you can just kind of see in this case, he shows a little bit cut off there. So if you want to, you can just make it even wider, like let's make it 500 or something. And basically, like the logic that I put in there, it tries to size the areas in the game list to still have the number of items above and below the snapshot. So you can just kind of do this stuff, and it'll try to figure out how big and small it needs to make other things, to work well. Yeah, in this case, we can make the snapshot a little bit wider, make the game list a little bit wider. That's still I'll just show you a couple other things. I mean, basically, I've just been kind of like pillaging some of those, video game, sprite rip sites, pulling out animated GIFs of game backgrounds, things like that. I mean, there's so many of them, and so many of them look good. It's actually really easy to throw something together that looks pretty good. Let's just take a look at some of these and see how they are. Oh yeah, there's the Haumaru background from Samurai Shodown 2. I mean, I said a lot of these things look good, I think it's going to be kind of hard to like not find at least one thing that you like. Some other stuff I need to do is hook up the sounds, because in the real Big Blue front end, I kind of have specialized sounds hooked up for everything. So like if you go back to the category list, or if you select one of the categories, or if you launch a game, they all have unique sound effects and all that. So I'll probably set something up so in this theme, configuration here, you'll be able to, link to wave files or FLAC files or whatever, and then those will be your sound effects that'll play for certain events. I'll probably hook that up. I haven't done that yet. Let's look at some other themes here. And like if you were going to do a racing thing, I was toying around with like a looping animated GIF of Outrun. I think that looks so. I mean, actually, it's kind of stretched out because the resolution's too low, but you could make a better animated GIF for this. And you can see too that this isn't fast enough for Outrun. So, like, let's say that we want to use this for Outrun. We probably want to like really speed this up. Let's make it run, every 30 milliseconds, or around 30 frames a second. And yeah, see, that's starting to look a little bit better. So you see how you could just kind of do whatever you want. You could just set the speed of it, make it run whatever you want, or you could even have a just one static image as the background. You could do that too. There's really nothing you see that to stop. Yeah, I mean, it's basic front end. I wanted something that was really minimalistic. Something that that would work for a wide variety of backgrounds. And so that's why I tried to integrate the snapshot and the videos in with everything. Let's try see how this one looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So yeah, so you can go of course this is going to be a little bit fast. And this thing scales really well on different computers. I mean, like if you have a really complicated animated GIF, or rather like an animated GIF that has thousands of frames in it, and you run it really fast, I mean, performance can get a little bit, I mean, it can be a little bit more demanding on the computer, but if you have an animated GIF that's maybe around like 8 frames or so, and it runs at, around 100 milliseconds or somewhere around there, I mean, this runs on pretty much anything. I mean, I'm basically using like less than 1% of my CPU, to run these things. Big Blue, the normal Big Blue is much more demanding just because there's kind of more stuff going on in it. Let's try this one, see how this one looks. Okay, yeah, so that's another Neo Geo background. A lot of great Neo Geo backgrounds that look good with this stuff. Of course, that's also probably run at half the speed that the thing was running at. Let's see how this one looks. Oh yeah, this is the Samurai Shodown 2 background also. I guess I'm kind of partial to the Samurai Shodown 2 backgrounds. And and actually, it's surprisingly, even though you're kind of stretching them out a little bit, like I found that the Capcom and SNK backgrounds tend to work fairly well, whether you're going at 16:9 or 4:3. They tend to work even if they're stretched out a little, they still look pretty okay. So there's some flexibility there, and yeah, this one looks pretty good too. Comment out this guy. Although I think I've done this one before. Yeah, I did this one before, I think, in a previous video, but oh well. Yeah, so it's looking pretty good. I think it's kind of shaping up. I want to polish it though, because I don't want to release something that long that doesn't really work that well. I want to use the interface with this, so you don't really have to be very tech savvy to use it. Just something that you can basically just load up and say, okay, I want to use this image or these images for my background, and I want so and so. Also, see, there's a lot more room now to do extra stuff. See, I'm thinking about putting in some just kind of like text that's optional, such as maybe like the name of the category that you're looking at here. So like if I'm in favorites, for example, I would see favorites here, maybe something like that, or maybe the name of the game or year or something could display when you have a focus. Since here you're really only seeing the snapshot and the video preview of the game. So yeah, I could put in some more touches like that, but I do want to keep it simple though. I don't even want to make it as complicated as model where you're like having to arrange stuff specifically. I just want to keep it to basically my game list is centered, or it's on the left, or it's on the right, something like that. I don't want it to be too complicated, because once you start doing that stuff, like I said, you're kind of getting in. I don't really want to step on the feet of tracked mode or anything, because like I said, I think that thing is covering the basis for that stuff really well, and there's really no point in putting something out there if it doesn't have something distinct or unique about it. So I'm not going to really try to do the same thing. So I think that this is different enough that it might be worth putting out there. So yeah, I'll probably shut up and not say anything else about this until I'm ready to actually release a version of it that you can fiddle around with. But like I said, I think it's looking pretty good. I don't know when I'm gonna actually have it ready, because I mean you have to figure, like, from my perspective, I don't really feel entirely motivated on this one, because I know that I'm not going to use it in my cabinets, so I'm not feeling the same motivation that I felt when I put together Big Blue, knowing that I was actually going to use that. So I guess it's just selfish genes, but I guess I'll have it out there probably within a month or so.